playful, imaginative ways that we are here at the theatre today, maybe we can make some progress. So I'd just like to begin to perhaps hear a one-line statement from each character around what they think perhaps may or may not be the problem, what they think, what needs to change, and perhaps maybe what they think we as a collective, when I say we, the community, can do something in order to bring about some change that will never make this happen again. So just a couple of words, if people would like to say something. You can introduce yourself, who you are, and maybe you can share with us what you feel, like I say, if there is someone who is responsible, if there is something that you feel that needs to be done in order for this not to happen again, so we can get some insight from you here today in this.
As the character or
as the character. So let's start with security.
Sorry, my manager.
Well, I just got the job.
Excuse me, sorry, my manager is white and it was passed on to me. Alright, so basically it's just quite simple. I am from the West Indies. I understand about how to behave, okay? You see them, what you say? Uno. Them, see that there? Them, they have to learn how to behave in a certain way in public and how to deal with members of staff. If they come in with that kind of niggerish attitude, what do you expect is going to happen? Okay? So, if you come in with that kind of charisma, you have to blend in.
No.
Code switch!
Well, I'm the optician, and I was given this by our seniors to read out on behalf of the hospital. And it goes as follows. I followed my training. I followed the guidelines and the policies of this health authority. The Care Quality Commission will hold an inquiry into what happened, and they will not ask whether we were wrong, whether we made bad decisions with our treatment. They will ask simply, did we follow the guidelines? The inquiry will show that I did, and I will, and a hospital will be exonerated. We are not the problem. Maybe some people need to look into themselves, and maybe you are the reason for your season.
Oh.
When they get to the end, yeah. But I'm overwhelmed. The amount of patients that come through the door is unbelievable. We get such attitudes, we have to manage everybody. Yes, it's my job. Yes, I know I have to be pleasant, but when you get attitude, when you get problems, when you're overwhelmed and slow down, we just don't understand, we just can't cope. There's no one to help us. The higher ups don't really care about us anyway. So yeah, we have to do what we best we can do.
Hey.
We shouldn't even be here. We shouldn't be here. And I've got to go home. My baby's from all done up and no baby. And you lot are just sitting there reading statements and passing the buck and blaming my family for what you've done. Like, you don't have any compassion. Look at my family. Look at my family. Not a sorry, nothing. You're just standing there. I was doing my job. You've robbed me of one of my jobs. You've robbed me. I don't have my daughter anymore.
Sorry.
I just feel like it's just
that back farther.
Sorry, for those of you who don't know, my name is Papa Elijah. And please, those of you out there in the audience, you are my family, right? You are my family, and I represent my family as the Elliott family. Because all of you recognize what we as a family is going through. Am I right? I can't hear you. Am I right? Thank you very much. Right? Until when we start to recognize that, and as somebody else said, that you have to start looking in within before you can start helping others and yourself, which I never had that opportunity. And for those people down the end of the line who could never walk in our shoes, they will never understand what we have to go through, or what we have been through, or what we have suffered, because they're just doing our job. And what we are doing as a family is for life.
My name is Zion. What do I think of what's happened in the process that's gone through? I'm ashamed, first of all, of my family for not being able to find a way to cohesively work and do things better. As for the NHS, I'm born and raised in the UK, so I have a different perspective of how I see everything. I was expecting it to be normal, get looked at by anyone and the same results. But upon actually going and dealing face to face with the NHS, it makes me feel like the system itself is systemically racist against us. I can't blame the staff, doctors or the nurses, because this is how they're trained. They're trained to think these things. They're re-educated to assume that melanated people have differences, which we do, but not that different. You know, me and Zion right now, I'm motionless. I have no feelings for anything. I have a disbelief in the system which has raised me, and I'm now more self-aware about my melanation and the struggles that we will go through.
Hi. I'm Dwayne, and I'm here for my family. I'm here to break the generational trauma, those generational curses. I want my son and grandchildren to be the difference. I want them to be the benchmark to success. I want them to challenge authority when authority is doing injustice. I want them to speak up. I want them to raise their voices, because many of us suffer in silence, and no more should we be silenced. And no more should there be another black woman suffering in poor health inequalities and poor health care.
So now we want to open up to hear from the audience who have witnessed this inquiry in terms of what do we do now, how do we move forward, what are the things that we can do in order so that nobody ever experiences what we've witnessed here today.
Hi everyone. I'm a senior manager in children's social care. What I will say to you is that there is research that clearly identifies that 4 out of 5 black women will experience inequalities during maternity, post-maternity as well, as far as experiencing death or death of their child. What I'm conscious of, this is a fantastic event. What I will say is I was just just reflecting and observing, and I can understand that this would have drawn out a lot of trauma, you know, for a lot of individuals. So as much as, you know, it's opened it up, it's very important that it is closed. And I would just ask the organisers just to make sure that you close that trauma before individuals go home, or at least offer additional support. Okay, thanks very much.
Anybody else who would like to share at this time? Gentleman here.
Hi. I've observed one thing. In the waiting room, you waiting to see the baby and see why. There was no real support around there. I think fathers and mothers, they need to come. We as a community should have an eye out for these people. Because someone's they're waiting around by themselves, they're stressed, etc. Maybe some voluntary organisation should step in and put people in there, in the waiting rooms, etc. I observed that. I used to run a security company, employ staff. You know, I'm not small staff. I had 100, 150 men working for me. So I'm aware of this. Some of my men were more sensitive than the staff. All right. So there's a great need for this. All right. And on my other side, I think I worked with a voluntary organisation. I was a senior member of the Samaritan movement. So I've seen both sides of it and the consequences of it. And so I really think people should, the way forward for us as a community is, even if you have no organisation, you just hang around the casualty, hang around, let's keep an eye out for our own people in situations. I know we do already. I've seen black people talk to black people, but particularly with regards to pregnancy, mothers need help, need support. And we men are sometimes embarrassed about getting involved or saying things, etc. Right? But that's where we have to step up. Right? Men, we think, oh, it's not my goal, it's a woman's thing. Right? It's not a woman's thing, it's our thing. Right? And so we need to do something like that. On a personal note, I've personally carried 2 babies' coffins the size of shoeboxes. Right? So I know that she was telling me this. She's holding a baby at the moment, and the baby hasn't moved. And it reminds me of one of my dead children. That's why I won't pick up the baby. All right, so this is what happens. Okay? Thank you for listening.
If there's anybody that'd like to share something or offer some words of wisdom, any way that we can move forward, anything that you suggest, that, yeah, I'm coming. Anything that's going to help us have a plan of action and what we can do collectively together, what we should be doing, who we can go to, who we need to campaign against, anything that's going to help us move forward. If you can make some recommendations, suggestions, we would really appreciate that. Also, if there's anybody here who feels that there's some kind of healing that we can do, even for a moment, even if it's just to close our eyes and breathe for 10 minutes or 5 seconds or whatever it may be. Anybody who can make some suggestions, we welcome it here and today.
Just to mention that recently Baroness Valerie Amos has done some extensive research and investigation into maternity healthcare, and it incorporates the care, or the lack of care rather, that has been, I think, implied today, that's specific towards women of colour. For a personal level, I do think things can be done, but it's said that if we want anything hidden from certain cultures, put it in a book. So perhaps we should try and raise standards and read more. I don't want to be stereotypical because no one reads like myself, and I do happen to be a woman of colour. So we don't want to embrace stereotypes, but if we read more, and as I said, Valerie Amos has done extensive research, very, very recently. She's on the TV and everything. So if we just read about that and see what we can do, because she has invited the public to give views on that topic.
Thank you. Somebody else.
My name is Tony Forrest. I'm happy if you've got this film to get it to Valerie Amos for you, and to possibly arrange your meetings that she can share what it's been like taking evidence and travelling across the country to try and find out what's going on. And I think if she sees this film, it will help her to think through what other changes that need to be made.
For those who don't know, who is she?
Oh, Baroness Amos, gosh, I don't know where to start. She's based at Oxford University, but she was selected by the government to do an inquiry into the black women's experiences of maternity care. And she's been travelling across the country, and I know the report is concluding at some point this year. Baroness Valerie Amos.
Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, while I don't have any personal experience of this kind of event, I do have some ideas that may hopefully help as preventative measures to stop these kind of things from happening again. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I hope they'll be useful to somebody anyway. For one thing, just look at the way the medical system is. Especially around like kind of childbirth, maternity care and stuff like that, and just see kind of how unnatural it is compared to the way it's done in nature, the way it's done in kind of like traditional cultures. Bring back some of those like kind of traditional cultures, like where cultural practices around childbirth, where like woman is like giving birth like in water, for example, so that the baby's not like being born into like dry land and like struggling to breathe. Like really looking into, let's say, our roots or the roots of humans in general, and see the way that the medical practices completely diverge from it, and see how much more statistically likely it is that the complications will arise because of diverging from traditional practices. So bringing those kind of traditional practices back, even if that means that we either go into like a private clinic where they allow those kind of cultural practices to happen, or practice home births or something like that. I don't know, maybe somebody can kind of educate me or bring further information to light. And second of all, in terms of like bringing justice, like for women and people who've gone through these experiences already, we need to basically make campaigns. We need to basically be calling the NHS and also like the private institutions into account, whichever it is that carries these practices out, and basically get people fired. We need to be looking like, instead of saying, oh, blame the system is made up of people just like us. And these people, yes, they are being trained like in certain ways, but at the same time, like everybody has like a common sense to know that if your training is teaching you to disrespect certain types of people and to put their lives and their risk and their health at risk, then they're responsible, and we need to hold them responsible. So we need to start looking at getting doctors, staff, like nurses fired. Literally hit them where it hurts in their paycheck, basically hit them in the wallets, basically, so that they really start feeling that. Yeah, our lives matter. Thank you.
So I counted about 5 people who wanted to speak, and I think more and more hands going up, which is fine, but if the shorter you can keep it, the more that people will get a chance to speak. Otherwise, we won't get enough chance. We've got to finish at 6:30.
Okay, I just want to cancel off what my neighbour was saying here. And I think when we think about practice, and medical practice, and maternity practice, and mental health practice, that practice comes from research, and we need to think about the lens that this research that is taken when this research is carried out. So it's a very Eurocentric lens, it's a very Western-centric lens. Your typical research subject will be a white male. So the research that is being done, that feeds the practice, that feeds the care that women either receive or don't receive, needs to be completely overhauled so that it becomes relevant to the women that are facing these inequalities in the world today.
think actually the important thing, I think there should be a distinction between the National Health Service and the Ministry of Health. We have to hold our politicians accountable for the directives that are set and they trickle down. And I do think as well that it's important to take business out of the health service. It should be a not-for-profit entity. And in regards to your consideration, I think during the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a lot of talk about decolonising the curriculum, and I think that's quite important. But I think
I'm a father of 3, and going back to the guy earlier on, you have got a right to be at the birth. You have got a right to sadly have a water birth, a home birth. My kids are born at home in a water birth, so we have got that right. You just have to exercise it. Really, it's about us, and then leaving that to MPs and so forth to make that step, to make changes.
I was in the store. Sorry. Oh yeah, sharp. Yes. Yes, I thought that I was asking how much it was, because I thought she was selling it, but you're not. No, this is their doll. Oh, it's your doll?
Oh, this is the company's doll.
Oh,
We're looking after the baby during rehearsals.
Oh, she's little, but she'll tell her. Oh, sorry, kid. It's a boy. Anyway, it's got what message you wanted to give me? Yeah, I think so. Something like that. If you don't go, so you got something, so. And I looked at him, and I thought, imagine in our days, none of us are wanting into black. And both too big. And it was too brown. And I thought, wow. Now, if I was to give this to my children, if your black daddy didn't get, and you grow with it again, love it. And everybody would have one, everybody know one would be, let's call it liver lips. And they don't want the broad nose yet. But that's still come, sweet nose anyway. Yes, and I said, when we were growing up, I know I'll show you them, because the daddy them, when they're black. No, you never see nobody black, so. But this one I'm with color. Well, the dark skin people there. We put them with blackness, because they want that lantern, and they can't get it. Yeah, so, and this is what I looked at him and I said, yes, some things have changed. Because, you know, you're dark, I love your chocolate color. Oh, I love your color. I love it. But me love because a long time I never want red. Never did I want to be white or light skin and me didn't love the chocolate, dark chocolate, cocoa color. I love it. Yeah? And as I said, with my kids, and as I said, when I used to see all the pale white dolls, and then you got the black, and they had the gollywog as well. I didn't compare myself to the gollywog. When this is less or less of black people, I mean, I got to myself, when I saw them dance on the telly, the big lips and that, I didn't think that was me. You know? Oh yes, I know, sorry. Yes, so I would say, yeah, so I would say to myself, yes. Put the baby down. Oh, put the baby down, I will do. I thought I was advertising for you. Yes. Yes, so yes, I think things have changed and they are changing. But as for the film, I think that if you are a couple, and I'm sure that when you went to the hospital, the couple, when you're having a baby with your wife or whatever, when you go together to the maternity classes and everything else, you know where to go. Yeah, so when you're in an emergency, you will know. You wouldn't go to the emergency downstairs or wherever in the hospital. You goes straight to the ward, labour ward. So you wouldn't have the problem you had downstairs waiting until she gets herself in that problem, you know. So that's why it's good as parents. Sorry? No, I will. I'll give it back to you.
I think you've taken her turn.
Yes, we've taken our turn. I will take female turn. Even though we need to wrap up now. Yeah. So anyway, I've got to go now. Yes.
Security.
I just want first to say that I want to congratulate the Black Men Consortium for putting on today. I also want to compliment the actors and actresses, whatever you call yourselves these days, people who are passionate. And I was moved by it. I'm a father of 6, and I've been in hospitals on a number of occasions. On my second child, it had a near miss, and it really does highlight the role of men, fathers, in maternity care. Okay? And us men must not exclude ourselves from maternity care and ensuring that we go to the antenatal clinics with
Come on now, yeah.
It is so critical that we do this, so you're well informed. There may be an issue or two with the presentation, but we weren't sure whether or not there were some co-conditions that may lead to the risky pregnancy. We don't know about that. And we were surprised that Dad had no knowledge where he should go. As the lady just said a moment ago, you wouldn't go to emergency, you go directly to the labour ward. So that's it's a bit of knowledge. But I just want to conclude that I'm a former councillor from Southwark. We had a very similar meeting to this maybe 2 years ago with the Southwark Black Parents Forum, and it was as impassioned as this meeting. As a result of that, the Council of Black Councillors organised the Southwark Maternity Commission. You can see the papers on the web. It was an excellent investigation as to how maternity services are provided to our parents. It is an ongoing survey of both the Maudsley, Guy St Thomas and the King's hospitals. Okay? So we're monitoring their performance. Their performance is slowly improving. They are becoming more culturally centric. Okay? But in order for us to maintain that progress, we have to be involved. This meeting must lead to a CTA, call to action. And I look forward to seeing all your faces at both the hospital trust meetings, where you are able to put questions to the officers at the hospital trust, where you are participating in your GP's maternity wings, and I'll wrap up now. Okay. Well, I'm a former councillor, Martin Seaton, but I also manage an online podcast called The Motivator Show, in which last year we tackled this particular issue. It was one of the best viewed shows we had, because we got to the nub of the question as to how we can be empowered to see change. What we don't want, as the lady said earlier on, 30, 40 years ago, we had exactly the same discussion. And it does appear in some places the progress has been somewhat sluggish. Change will only happen if we are consistent and determined to effect that change. We have the power. The power is with the people. Praise God.
So make sure that there's networking before people go home. Very useful.
Yeah, good evening. I just wanted to answer the question. My name is Peter. I'm planning to be sorry. Well done, chaps. Fantastic to see this again. The question about what might be responsible. This play resonated with me in terms of the Casey report, Baroness Louise Casey report into adult social care, and she said something. She said that she basically highlights in her speech, which you can find, just search Casey's speech, Nuffield, and you will find the Casey report. So we have a national health service, but we don't have a national care service. I think the Care Act 2014 wasn't staffed. It was staffed by a very small number of people. So we're really a long way behind even the concept of care in our society. That's just what I want to say. If we just search that, you'll get an amazing context as to how to go at this. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon everybody. I'm June and I'm from ACLT. And what I have noticed in dealing with the people that contact us is a lot of the time they are sitting in front of consultants, a special pediatrician, whoever it be. Sometimes they haven't even introduced themselves. Do you know who you're talking to? Also, you should always bring somebody extra with you because they bamboozle you with science. Sometimes you don't even know what they're talking about. Don't be scared to write it down and say, where can I find out more about this? Because unless we do things like that, they will not pick up themselves. Some of them have it on a formula, on a rotation, and they just fill out the same thing all the time. You actually need to question them and say, what's that all about? Where can I find out more about this? Even if you don't know, hopefully the person you have with you, sitting next to you, say, write that down, we can look it up when we get home. Ask the man, where can it be found on the NHS? They will soon pick themselves up because they have to give you information that you understand. Don't wait for that letter to come through the door and it says, I spoke to this lady, and that's the real time you realize who you were speaking to. I would say to everybody, no matter what illness it is, it could be the dentist, it could be maternity, it could be cancer. Have someone else with you when they're giving you their lowdown on what is meant to be wrong with you. Okay? So please, you are the person looking after your health. Do your best and help them help you get standards up. Thank you very much.
You know who is ACLT?
I beg your pardon. ACLT, African Caribbean Leukemia Trust. Some of you may remember Daniel DeGale. Yeah? So I volunteered with them and done a lot of work.
What's your name?
I'm June. To look us up, aclt.org, www. You know the rest. Thank you.
Hi, I am Brian, and people talking about research. This is research. This is what research should really look like, not a tick box exercise, not doing a survey, because I'm sure some of you have participated in research or so-called research where you're given a form to fill and some of the questions aren't really the questions you would like to really answer. This is research. This in itself, this film, this play, this discussion is research. And for future reference, maybe clinicians should be invited to this forum, to this event. Clinicians should be invited. Senior people in the NHS Trust for the area or for other areas should be invited to this. And then they will get the proper research feedback. That's what I'd like to say.
By the way, you can see over there by the exit, before you leave, feedback on the wall, please. There's service providers. Wait a minute, someone's going to wait till Hold on.
What's 5 minutes left?
Quickly, please, sir.
Last person here.
I'm Herman from Harringay. What we do is one of these reading Black history studies as well. I think one of the main things is actually if you can actually now really go to the politicians and local authorities and health boards, we need to start approaching them. Yes. With sort of, cognitive arguments with regard to this. The argument that was set before the point, this is research, we actually have to use it. Invite the right people here who make the decision makers, especially
we have to do. I think far too often, though, what I've noticed in the NHS is very much a them and us attitude. It doesn't matter, irrespective of race or actual gender, NHS staff and patients, that is a big issue. I had to go through that myself, so I'm aware of that. But what we need to do is actually try to make sure to push forward with all the work we've actually done, push forward and support people like these initiatives there. We must support it usually, but go away. What is the action? What are we going to do? That's the main thing. What are we actually going to do?
Who's the policy inclusion
please. Quality inclusion lady.
Just a moment.
You sure?
I'm really sorry, we've got 5 minutes left and we've got a lot to go through. But what you can do, you've got A1 at the back, so it's right on there. Really sorry. We've got 5 minutes left and the library wants us out and on time.
Okay, so I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. And I want to say thank you to our amazing tribe. This is our tribe right here. We work so hard to put this together. Please. And it's a great, one we produce right to directly. And big shout out to Sharon as well. Let me tell you very quickly before we end what the play means to us. So my name is Kevin Burnett. I am not a doctor. Maybe 10 minutes ago. Here's the thing. There is so much trauma in this room. And my mission, I spent my adult life researching trauma. I traveled to 25 countries studying human behavior. And I wanted to look at what does trauma look like from different cultures, genders, mindsets, personalities. And this is where I wrote my book, Who Helps the Helpline When the Helpline Needs Help. Who are helping the people that are helping the people. And as a community, we help people, but we tend to suffer in silence. And that's one of the biggest problems that I've discovered within our community. Men suffer in silence because there's a perception, be strong. And women suffer in silence. Be strong as well. And so then all of a sudden, we have households divided, which represents the household what we have in the play. People suffer in silence. And that's where the trauma lives. Trauma survives when you don't talk. Trauma survives when you don't express yourself. Trauma survives when you don't seek therapy. It's important as a community we open our peripheral to different ways of being helped, different ways of connecting. We must talk. Men must talk. And when men talk to women, women must not use it back against men. Because then men be very good at being silent and suffering in silence to the point of suicidal ideation. Most people don't know that most of their family members are suicidal. Why is that? Why is the person that is next to you every single day, you don't know what they're going through? Is it culture? Is it your personality? Is it that they're scared and frightened that you're going to throw it back in their face one day when they're vulnerable? The questions that we must ask ourselves must be directly connected to how we're being brought up. Where does this come from? Why is it still here? Why are we still aware of this and nothing's being done? We must, as a community, to first grow, we must connect and we must seek therapy. Therapy is not for other communities, it's also for us as well. And therapy means seek people who are professional in understanding how your emotions work, understanding your next decisions, and understanding where the root of your trauma came from. Sometimes it's generational, sometimes it's from childhood, sometimes it's from domestic abuse that happened yesterday. Nevertheless, trauma exists, and sometimes we're born into trauma and we don't know that we're deep in trauma. In order for the world to change, we must truly change. In order for us to take government, take local councils, we must stand within ourselves and understand how we work. It's called emotional intelligence and emotional awareness. Sometimes our children are lashing out, stabbings there, shootings there. Why is that? Hurt people hurt people. When a child cannot express themselves, they scratch and bite. And when an adult can't express themselves, they stab and shoot. If we can learn how to express ourselves, that's the first stage in dealing with our trauma. But in order to deal with that trauma, we must seek therapy. So I want to thank you so much for coming. We have more plays. Thank you to Tony, by the way. Tony is the man who created. I don't think we've got time. Okay. So this is the rockets. So I want to just say thank you so much. I feel there's a few more that we can put out there. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to say thank you once again. And please, 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 if you feel triggered today, it's because something is still inside of you that's undealt with. If you feel angry today, because there's something inside that's still undealt with. So we need to deal with what we're going through, and we will get through where we've been walking already. Thank you.
So, I know everybody's tired and they want to go home, hold on. But let me introduce you some of the characters today. So, playing Mia, we have the lovely Maya. Yeah, this is her second time of performing in the play. No acting experience. Third, isn't it? Sorry, third. And then beside her, we have Crystal playing the receptionist. And we have her son Markel playing. And the man holding the baby, that's Errol. Kevin Bennett, as you know, playing the obstetrician. Yusuf Mohammed playing the security guard. We have Fernando playing security guard as well. Yeah. And anybody watch Bridgerton? Come here. When you watch Bridgerton, season 1 to 4, 1 to 5,
yeah.
Look out for him because he's in there. Yeah? Yeah, and we'll play Zion, and a very good Zion. We have Wayne. We have our technical staff, so we have Fola here. We've got Kane on the Kane, give us a shake. We've got Igor over here. We've got Fitz on the camera, Fitz. I want to give a big shout out to Juliet G, where is she? Radio Show, check it out. Every Saturday on Supreme Radio, she's going to kill me because she's going to say, you don't listen to my show. Why don't you listen to my show? Simone is a psychotherapist, yeah? If you're picking up psychotherapists, I'm going to pick up Michelle. Yeah, in the house. Oh, and I have to pick up myself because I actually wrote the play. Long, hard. This is the 4th edition. So when I first started it, it was Shimon, which is Crystal's cousin. He approached me, had watched an episode of Coronation Street, and he came up to me and he said to me, Lloyd, just watching Coronation Street. I don't watch the shows there, you know. If it's sci-fi, yeah, but Coronation Street. And it was a scene about a black woman, and he said, Lloyd, where are the fathers? There's no black fathers. And he wanted to do something about it. So this is how Umbilical came and it rose, and this is our 4th production. Hopefully there'll be many more. It could be Umbilical the movie, you know. Yeah.
If you go to our social media, you'll see it with the work. If you go to our social media, the BMC 100, any of them, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
yeah.
Just look for the word, the BMC 100.
Yeah. Did you all see the video promotion that was sent out? Yeah? Sarah did it.
Yeah.
Very good. And
the baby.
what are you doing with that baby? Social services. And on behalf of the Black Men's Consortium, aka the BMC 100. Thank you for your time, and thank you. Thank you for the music, and thank you as well.